Well, says, wait, try again. Let's see what it's. There we go. We are live, Danny. Thank you. I am so grateful. I'm Karen Hall, and I am with the Los Angeles Tribune as an executive producer and the executive director of the Women's Journal. And I am also the host of the Hero Within podcast and the Empathy Advantage podcast. I am so grateful to welcome Danny Walsh. Danny is the customer communication lead for ClickFunnels. He is like the ClickFunnels guru from Australia. And he's had 25 years in business and in digital marketing. He's a 2 Comma Club winner with ClickFunnels, a trainer and connector of people. And when I first heard Danny spoke, I immediately connected with him because I just loved his warmth. I loved how much he cares about people and how authentic he is. So Danny, welcome to the show today.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun, and excited to have a conversation, have a discussion. How are you? How are you today?
Very good. So we are streaming live on Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you would like to share this to your site, you just go to my Facebook and LinkedIn and you just click share and you can share this onto your site. So anybody that needs to do that, just we will give you those little instructions. So Danny, tell us about you and what led you to doing what you're doing today.
Oh man, I've always been the guy who fixed people's computers, and I've always had a passion for helping people, right? So many years ago, so I think I am international, so forgive me. So I am in the UK, not Australia. So in the UK, we have lots of deprivation, lots of issues with where children and young people are growing up in deprived areas, right? And when I was younger, sort of 15, 16, 17, I was living in one of these areas, and we always loved music, always loved like outdoor activities and sports and different things. And one of the things that I always wanted to do was kind of be like a DJ and go to like play music in clubs and all of the things, right? So the underground music scene, deprived area, you know, in a city kind of area, you can paint the picture, right? And we would do our DJing, we would do our music, and this was the day of CDs. This was before YouTube. This is before Facebook Lives and StreamYards and all of the things. And we kind of combined the music with helping children and young people and actually trying to do something in the community. It was around that time that everybody was building websites, and it sort of made sense to put the music and put the work that we were doing in the community onto a website. And because I was the guy that helped people with the computers and all of this kind of stuff, it kind of fell on me to figure out how do we turn our ideas into something on the internet. And not many people were doing this, right? So we borrowed somebody's credit card number and we bought a domain name and we tried to figure this out, and quite quickly managed to create a presence online where we could get bookings and we could promote what we're doing. You know, this is 20 years ago, right? So fast forward through all of that time, that evolved from working with more and more children, more and more young people, teaching them the DJing, taking them fishing, which is another passion of mine. And everything that we ever did needed an online presence. And because we never had actually any money to like do these things, we have to borrow some money or figure it out. I became very good at adapting and trying to get things done on a zero budget. And then you kind of figured out, well, actually we can make money, we can sell things. And this evolved over the years. And obviously the internet's evolved. Now we're at a point where we've got AI and all of the things. But this journey, this process has always been a case of me helping people, figuring out how to do it without any money, putting it on the internet and creating something. And fast forward 20 years, that's what I do. You know, that's what I do for clients. That's what I do for the companies that I work with. And it's been a very interesting, unique journey.
Well, yes, I love your heart-centered focus on wanting to help these youth who do not have, the resources, and to provide those
Yeah,
resources for them, and
yeah,
to empower them in the way that you did, to teach them, skills, and to teach them how to have a website and to market themselves. That
yeah.
boy, I wish I had someone like you. I need a computer guy. I
Hey,
need a tech guy and a ClickFunnels guy in my life.
but what it shows, I guess, is that even if you have absolutely nothing, if you've got an idea and you've got the will. We interviewed recently. You'll know Rex Sykes, right? So I work with Rex quite a lot. Quite recently, earlier on, I think earlier last year, we interviewed Les Brown, and Les made an amazing point about the will to do it, right? So if you've got the will to do something, even if you've got absolutely no resource, I believe it's possible because you are your best resource. You're able to be creative. You can apply yourselves in lots and lots of different ways. But the risk, I guess, that young people face right now is the lack of belief.
Mm.
So you might have the will in the world, but if you don't have that belief that you can actually, like, where do I start? What do I do? Like, how do I even just get started? That's where a lot of the programs and things that have developed over the years have really come into their own. It's just giving people that direction. It's like, what do I do first? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I was thinking about this quote by Napoleon Hill where he says, "What you can conceive and believe you can achieve." And sometimes the conception part is difficult because we have an idea. I have a passion. I want to help leaders with emotional intelligence skills, but I might not conceive like how I could make that happen. And then to believe that I could do that after I conceive the way to do it is another element of
Yeah,
do I have that belief in myself that I can figure it out?
yeah.
So then I can achieve it. So yes, you're making me think of that exact thing. And so what's interesting is not only are you helping them with the conception part, but you're also helping them by empowering them to believe it. And then you're helping them to achieve it.
For real. And I think the big thing that I found throughout all of the years, especially if you've no money to ever do anything, is you need to ask for what you want and to be very clear of what you want. Hey, we want to be DJs, or we want to teach kids, or we want to go to the moon, whatever it is. If you know what you want, then you can start asking people to help and support you on that journey, right? And 99% of people will never ask.
Isn't that amazing? Because I appreciate that so much when I asked you that you were willing to connect with me and to be on the show today. And yes, it just takes reaching out and asking. But so many times we face rejection and we get used to hearing no. And so way to go to be a man that is approachable, that you are willing to help, and that you have such a big heart to do so. Thank you, Danny.
Well, thank you, and that means a lot, and to be able to have these opportunities, the opportunities that I get now of being born out of opportunities that I said yes to, years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years, 20 years ago, whatever, and that will to do it has always been there, and it burns bright. I want to help people, make a big impact. I can share skills, share knowledge, but the thing about asking is, if you ask for the right things, knowing what you want, if 99% of people don't ask, in my mind, you've got a 99% chance of getting the yes.
Wow. Yeah. And the other thing that I kept wondering about as you're talking about, asking and helping and this passion that you have, where did that passion come from? Why do you want to help?
Hey, this is something we could look under a microscope and try and figure this out. It's always been there, even since being a little kid. And I think being brought up in an area where people have very little but are still happy gives you an interesting insight into life. And
Mhm.
I've brought up mum, parents around me, all of the things, and was always taught to help people. So if you taught to help people, then naturally that is something that you would try to do. And sometimes this is you can try and help somebody and they don't receive the help very well. That can end like badly, right? So helping people is a skill in itself, and being not selective, but being prepared for folks to not want your help, that's cool. But if you can find people who not only will they take your help, they will actually use what you give them, and they'll go and do something great. That kind of lights a fire and it makes you feel good. So that's always been a passion. But I figured out that when you're helping somebody, you're also generally helping yourself in the process. So the more you help, the more you seem to receive, which is kind of interesting. It works.
It is interesting. I have found that in my own life. In fact, sometimes I say it's a little selfish that I'm serving because I am the one who is blessed. I am the one who receives probably the most joy out of giving service. And I see that in you. What a beautiful heart. Did you have anyone in your life that was an example? I'm sure your parents were that way, but could you tell us about an example that impressed your mind, that helped you to have this desire to serve?
I think everybody needs a mentor, right? And over the years, I've been very fortunate, very blessed to have access to people who are successful in various places, in whether it's life or whether it's sports. People would say to me, how did you make that happen? How did you wangle that? A lot of the things I would come out with is, I would actually ask for something that I was determined that if I asked for this thing, that would not just open up a door for me, it would open up a door for them. But most importantly, to get this equation working, it's got to be a three-way ask. It's got to have a benefit for their audience as well. So if I asked you for something, I would only do that if I knew you would benefit, I would benefit, and the audience would benefit. So if you can kind of figure that out, that works really well. So it's like, hey, I want to teach kids to DJ in this community. Well, I got to be the DJ. The community center got to attract the kids and do something cool because they were not very good at that, but the kids benefited. You see how it's always three-way?
Yes,
And
yes.
that applies to everything that I've ever done. And throughout being able to do these things from very early age, and from literally 18, being involved in communities, being able to sit around the tables where maybe the chief of police was sat around there, or the head of the council was sat around there, or people involved in schools and education. So many of those folks had very positive outlooks, and they also shared that same, it's kind of like a shared vision, right? So if you've got a shared vision, if you're in the room with the people who want to help, who want to make a difference, who want to have an impact, you find that you've got 15 mentors, 20 mentors, and people will just share one thing with you, but it's like, hey, that one thing, I can take that and I can apply it over here, and that means I can help more folks. So it's always been this ripple effect, and there's been so many people that have, some of these people didn't even realize they were my mentor. Others, that was the relationship that was on paper. So your ability to take one thing and apply that, get a result, that person sees that and they're like, oh, he's taken action. Now let's give him more. And then you can quite quickly go and pass that on and start to repeat that process as well, right? So then the love spreads, the energy spreads, the vibe, everybody's making an impact. But it's always that if I work with you, we will both naturally benefit, but who's the third party? It's the audience, your audience, my audience. Who's the people at large that benefit? And if you can apply that, this just perpetuates and grows and grows and grows. So we end up with so many people influencing, making a difference, giving you inspiration. But it's never been like, oh, that guy's got loads of money, or she's a film star, or whatever. Always look and speak to people and work with people on a very even view of, yeah, we're all in this together. And if everybody shares that vision, we can do great things. Does that make sense?
Totally. And I love that it's not money, it's not the influence, it's not the fame that connects you with people. It's that heart-centered shared vision. That's so beautiful and so rare. And I just wanted to thank you for that, because you are a rare individual. You have such high emotional intelligence. And I'm wondering, the empathy that you have for others that are struggling, and you know, how you can find ways to help them and empower them. Where did you learn your emotional intelligence?
I think growing up in a tough place, and obviously being surrounded by people from an early age who really want to make an impact, but also doing that centered around children and families. You know, if you get the business thing wrong, you know, teach somebody a marketing technique, you get that wrong, you screw it up. Somebody's business doesn't do as well. If we got
Right.
the things wrong in the communities, a child could die.
Right.
So you very quickly learn the impact of your words and the things that you do and the things that you put out there, and you've got to strive for excellence. See, sometimes it never, you know, things don't always go to plan. Sometimes it's not all what it seems, and you know, there have been some circumstances that have been just horrible to be like sat listening to or seeing that these things actually go on. But from an early age, involved in the communities, involved with these kind of authority figures, we've brought a lot of joy to a lot of people's lives, but we've also seen some real horrible stuff. And like, why would you not care?
Why would you not?
Why would you not? And it's like you've I'm always in tune with that, and like I said, look at it under a microscope, or let's just get on with it. That is something that I think people all possess, but a lot of people potentially would be nervous, like we talked about earlier. What is that first step? You might have all of the will in the world, you go out there and do that, but you just don't know what the first step is. And asking is part of it. The ability to have a conversation with somebody with the right intentions in mind, understanding that you are there to serve, you are there to make an impact. It's not about the money, it's about the people, all of these things. This is not based on reading some stuff in books. This is based on experience.
Yes, and what you just said, that's so interesting to me about even asking a person more about themselves so that you can understand and you can have greater empathy. Sometimes we're talking to people that are very different. We might think we know, but we don't actually know how to serve them, how to make that impact. And that asking and that element of curiosity with the right intention, just like you said, makes such a difference in our ability to connect with them, to even make it safe for them to be able to share what it is that is going on so that we can serve them. I just commend you for that, because I can see that you are the kind of person that loves and that really cares and that makes it safe so that you can help people and be effective in making that impact. So thank you for what you are doing.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think being able to have the right conversations with people is so important, and consultation, audience participation, all of the sort of like being in front of an audience, sort of fielding questions or looking into people's eyes, shaking people's hand, all of the things that I've done over the years with many people, that also gives you a very good understanding of human nature.
Yeah.
And there's lots of similarities. Just as a fun thing, when I would work in like the council buildings, right? So work in the big offices over here in the UK, and everyone would wear a suit. They'd all wear the ties. They'd all look really smart in the suits. I would go in like casual as you like, and it would annoy some of these old school guys. It's not about what you're wearing; it's about the job that you're doing. And we would over deliver in our team and get the results. We'd win the awards. We'd work with the kids. We could talk to the hardest to reach families in the hardest to reach areas, where these guys were really struggling because they couldn't switch from where they believe they are in life and society to actually have a conversation with somebody who they were set out to serve, right? So a big thing that we did a piece of work about, you know, you're not too big to just take a bus ride, like to jump on the bus and go out into the communities. You're sat here trying to, you know, create a budget or serve a bunch of people in a community, but you've never been to that community. Does that make sense? It's like
because that's connecting, that's being in the trenches. And even, you know, when you're so far removed from the situation, it's
Yeah.
very difficult to connect. And even when you're physically there, it's very challenging for many people to emotionally connect. And you are capable of all of the above. So that's really impressive how you are able to do that, because that makes your impact more powerful, because you are more effective in your leadership. And I just applaud you for that. I'm going to ask you a little bit more. Just if you have had a turning point in your life, something that you have had to overcome, is there anything you can think of that has been a turning point for you?
I think there's been points of adjustment more than points of turning. It's like, if you think you're going to turn, are you turning away from something? Are you turning towards something? So I think the direction's always been clear. I've always sort of been able to see the mountain rather than the mist, and know that, hey, if we carry on this journey. But there have been many points of adjustment,
Mhm.
and often you have to adjust based on money, right?
Mm.
So like, hey, we would do a lot of work years ago where it was funded, so that you would get a piece of funding from whoever was giving out the money at the time. But the thing with the funding is funding runs out. So you could find yourself in a position where that funding had dried up and you wasn't in a position to adapt fast enough to unlock the next piece of funding. And you at that point had to adjust.
Yeah, that pivot.
Yeah, so it might have not been, a complete turnaround 180 degrees or whatever, but it was an adjustment. And there's been lots of adjustments on the course that have been money related, where this thing is potentially not working anymore, this thing's not needed anymore, the government changed, the funding changed. The nature of helping people is there's only so many people that would still come and do the job if the money ran out.
Right. Right.
Right. And that generally, that's one of the things that I would always try and do, is like, how do we continue this initiative or pass this to somebody if needs be? But points of adjustment throughout life have often been tied to money. And what I think I've realized as I've got older and done this more is that it's never been about the money, it's about the people. And when
Yeah.
you realize this, you figure out that actually there might be an adjustment, but it doesn't mean you have to, like I said, turn.
Mm.
It doesn't mean you have to turn and leave that line of work or that calling, that thing that you're actually called to do. It just means that you have to adjust. That power of adjustment comes with the resilience. And I think, like I said, a lot of this stuff's not out of a book, right? It's experience based. And
Yes.
in the beginning, the experience of running out of money, losing a job, being uncertain, that brings a lot of stress and anxiety to you, to the family. We've got kids, all of the things. What do we do? As that happens, not frequently, because I don't think anyone would, be in a good position if that happened frequently. But if that happened as almost like a cycle, or you could kind of start to preempt that, you're
Yeah.
very much aware that if you adjust now, you adjust the behaviors, you adjust the thinking, you adjust the strategy, you adjust the marketing, you adjust all of the things, you can preempt this from ever happening again. And that's a powerful skill. So turning points, I like to think them as adjustment points, and always know that the journey's always been the same. It's like to have the impact to help people and be in the right place where you needed, but also sometimes where you know you need to be.
Right.
See where I'm
Right.
going with that?
Yeah. So, in your work, could you tell us a little bit more about how you won the 2 Comma Club award, and what drives that?
2 Comic Club awards, a lot of fun. 2016-17, I was doing a lot of marketing stuff. I wasn't doing so much in the communities with the kids, but I was helping people build a business. And I kind of figured out that if I can help a business owner have a bigger impact, they serve lots of people, so therefore I'm having an impact myself. And there was a point of adjustment, and at that point of adjustment, I was like, man, I'm teaching people skills that I don't fully have because I've not experienced them. So what I want to do is just put the brakes on this for a little while. I know I'll come back to it. We're gonna continue on the course, but I need to figure out something that I love doing. So what would it be? Music? Maybe not. We've done that for quite a while. So I was like, hey, let's create a fishing business. Let's go in online. Let's build a community around fishing. Let's serve the fishing community, which is a unique bunch of guys, predominantly in the UK. They're brought together by fishing, but there was lots of social needs and mental health needs and different things that we kind of plug some gaps in that as well. So we did a lot of stuff in fishing, and we did $3.5 million in sales. COVID came, like we adjusted the course again, kind of came back into the marketing and taught people then the things that we've found out, things that we've discovered, and the internet's continually evolving. So it's kind of like, yes, we launched a business, and yes, we made some money, and it was amazing. But it was the learning from that now puts me in a really good position to kind of know what modern business owners are facing and how best I can serve them. So it was self-inflicted learning, I think, is the best way to describe it. It was a lot of fun, and we've got an amazing community. And now with AI, we're still serving those communities. We're still plugged in varying degrees, but I've always known that whether it's helping somebody with a computer or a website or the business strategy or the framework or the impact in the world effectively, so I can help somebody to have a bigger impact in the world, I can serve more people. And that's the trajectory that I've always been on. I've just had these points of adjustment, and we're back. We're doing the thing that we love the most.
Yes, what you love the most. And it's interesting, all the different ways that you have helped people, starting with the website, starting with helping marketing and getting funding, the DJ, and still very similar what you're doing now, helping people with their passion, helping them with their business, and to find
Yeah.
funding through selling with their ClickFunnels. It's pretty.
through online marketing, whatever it is. The main points of adjustment have all been around money, right? So that's the key driver for a lot of people. And I get it, you won't come back to work if the money dries up. You need to go and get another job, or you set up another business, whatever it is, if things don't work out right. But it comes back to that, well, if we got something wrong, children would suffer. If somebody gets this wrong, then potentially children are still suffering in their family, their audience, their community. So we always have to be at the cutting edge of what's working, always know that we can give advice with confidence and certainty, right? So if I'm working with you, with the company, with whoever, the big thing that I need to be confident on is that I'm giving you advice that I'm certain about.
Yes. Oh, and is authentic. And you've lived it. You've had the experience, and so you know that it works. And because you care, and you care about my best interest, then I can trust you. And that is very powerful. Even your story of resilience is very powerful to then empower others to be resilient. So I'm going to just switch gears here for a minute, and I would love to hear about your family.
Also, hey, we've got a couple of little kids, but I've also got an older daughter. Live over here in the UK. My older daughter's actually expecting her first child, which is
Oh my
so
goodness.
that I've been doing this stuff for a long time. So a few people in the chat right now. I can see Alyssa's in the chat, who's amazing. Somebody that I always love to help and support. There's we've always shared pictures of the kids and different things on social media, and the kids are the future, right? So I've got a couple of little ones, we've got a couple of older ones, and teaching them that resilience, teaching them those life skills, and allowing them to learn from experience, super important. We're gearing up to be doing quite a lot of traveling and moving around the place a little bit as we move into the next couple of years, and having this sort of lifestyle and profession, if you would, that creates a lot of freedom. And now that we can kind of preempt the potential points of adjustment in the road, that means that there is a lot of freedom if you can get to that stage. And we're excited, want to show the kids the world, travel the world. It's a great time to be doing this. It's a great time to actually have that ability and the means to go out there and do that, and helping people along the way. The kids are going to see that. And it comes back to those questions, is like, where did I get started? What were the things I learned? They'll still understand the roots of where a lot of this came from. So, grateful for opportunities like this, and always spreading that message as we move. Hopefully the kids will follow along with that, and we can spread more positivity and more love. But yeah, family's good. Things are good right now. There's always, trying to foresee what are the next points of adjustment. Where are we going? What's the journey look like? And just helping as many people as we can on that path. Really, it's a family business.
Yes, that's beautiful that you're all involved and that you have that freedom to travel together and to spend time with the people that you love the most and doing the things that you love the most. Now, you mentioned about the future. If you have just a minute if we could go back and open your time capsule with the things that you predicted for the future regarding funnels years ago.
You're making me sound really good, but you came onto this and you mentioned at the beginning, you asked me about funnels of the future, and I was like, man, this is something that I actually did a presentation 2017, right? So I was asked to come and do a presentation about what would funnels of the future. And if you're watching this, you're like, what is this crazy funnel thing? Funnel is your sales process, moving your customers from A to B, from your ads to your bank account, getting people to maybe sign up to your newsletter or buy your products. It's like a mentality. Everything's a funnel, and it's looking at your business, your opportunities, where you get your customers, how you acquire your customers, how you can get more people in and keep them in your business for longer, right? So I've always been involved in this. Everybody needs customers, right? You need more customers. Everyone needs more leads. Everyone wants to make an impact. The pages that you see online are part of your funnel, but the funnel in my mind is the biggest strategy, right? So I was asked to do this presentation, and you reminded me of it early on. I have no idea where funnels of the future has come about because I've not mentioned it for years. But the things that I predicted is the first thing, number one, was funnels of the future will be fully integrated. Right. And now with things like ClickFunnels, where inside of your ClickFunnels account, and I work for ClickFunnels, I love ClickFunnels. Inside of your ClickFunnels account, you've got your web page, you've got your blog, you've got your contacts, you've got your email follow-ups, you've got all of the like appointments and CRM and everything all integrated.
Wow.
Right. So back then it wasn't. And everybody would piece lots of different pieces of software together to try and build whatever they thought they needed to run the business. I could say that has come to reality, right? So funnels of the future are fully integrated, and it's exciting, and it's a great time to be building your business because integrated systems mean that the cost comes down. So you don't need to spend $1,000 here, $200 here, $80, all of these things to plug together this $10,000 big thing. It's like one ClickFunnels account has got everything in there that you need to run a business. We said that in 2016, 17. Fast forward to now, you can check that off. So funnels are integrated. Everything's integrated. It's all in one place, everything you need. And even if a piece of software doesn't exist inside of ClickFunnels, you can connect to it real easy because the ability to open up APIs and all of the tech that makes the internet work, that has become even more integrated. So the internet at large is a lot more integrated. Said that, I've got the slides over here, so I'm looking over at the slides. I've actually gone back to that exact slide deck. And yeah, the next one was funnels of the future will be fully automated. So back then there was a lot of manual work that you would have to do, even have to process payments in separate systems. Or right now, all of your features inside of funnels can be automated. And if you look at where AI is today, AI can call people. It can write your emails for you. You have to look at your email software right now, and it writes your emails for you. There's so much automation that allows us to have more conversations that matter while they still matter, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, even just filtering out those so that you can have those more meaningful conversations.
Yeah, and it means that we can have less meetings. It means that we can have less pointless meetings. It means that we can focus on the conversations that matter with the people that matter to make the bigger impact. And I've always you might have heard the phrase "you're one funnel away," right? So this is what ClickFunnels stands by. You're one funnel away from whatever you want. If you want to, have a big house in the hills, or you want a bank account full of money, or you want to make a big impact, you are one funnel away. I believe that you're one conversation away from anything that you want, and having that automation and integration is so powerful because we can transfer data, we can serve people while we sleep. All of the things that are available on the internet right now just mean that we can do more of the important human stuff.
Oh, yes.
That's powerful, right?
That's very powerful. Absolutely.
I should do a revamp of this presentation. I'm trying to think, what are the next predictions for the next 10 years? You could hear me first, or it might be a separate webinar. And so funnels of the future, integrated, also automated. But the big one, which I'm looking at thinking, yes, is funnels of the future will respond to customer behavior. So a customer's journey is never the same. And because we do have things like AI, we do have integration, we do have automation, that means we can build experiences, customer journeys, success paths that actually respond to not just what a person clicks or opens or reads, but the data that they've accumulated online as well. So we can actually respond to their needs, wants, desires, the things that they're buying, the things that they're interested in. And you can see this with something simple like Facebook ads or whatever, but this is evolving continually. We didn't know about AI in 2017 like we do now, and this is just emerging. Combine that with things like ClickFunnels and people's desire and will to go out there and make an impact. That's a recipe for lots of good in the world.
Yes. And
exciting.
With a man like you and Russell Brunson combined with your brilliant minds and your heart and your emotional intelligence, I can't wait to see what ClickFunnels does next.
ClickFunnels is always been, a passion of mine. It's something that I've used, and Russell, Todd Dickerson, all of the people behind the scenes at ClickFunnels. Over the last 2 years, I've been able to work more closely, and it's an amazing organization with an amazing vision and some of, like you said, the heartfelt connection with other people to actually want to go out there and empower as many entrepreneurs as possible. Not just 1 million. I think they said, hey, we want to empower 1 million entrepreneurs. Well, they did that. It's like, how many can we actually empower? Some people don't realize they've got that entrepreneurial skill within them, and they just don't know where to start. And if there's anybody watching this or listening to this or thinking, man, this all sounds great, but I just don't know what the next step is, come find us. Come have a conversation. And once you start to see this world for what it is, the things that I'm talking about, things I'm excited about, you are one funnel away, you are one conversation away, you are able to make those steps, have those conversations, ask the right questions, use this software and all of the things that I'm talking about. But even if you just did a fraction of that, wouldn't life be better?
Yes. Oh my goodness. One conversation away, one ClickFunnel away. And I appreciate that hope that you give to all of us entrepreneurs out there who are wanting to share the message that we feel passionate about, that we feel called to share. And I have to give a shout out to your mom, Shirley Walsh.
Hey. So it's one of those hi mum moments, right? It's like I think that's you've made it when you can say hi mum on a TV or a live. I don't know. And there's a long way to go. There's a lot of great people behind me, supported me, believed in me, and I think my mum, a lot of people in the family who've always believed in the craziness, because some people just think it's crazy, right? It's like, this guy is crazy. But it's never as crazy when they see it unfold and see it happen. Yeah. So if you've got a dream, you've got a vision, or you've got something that you just know that you have to do, then you've got all of the tech, you've got all of the support, you've got all of the information. You don't have to figure it out anymore. Everything's out there. Have the conversation. Take the steps into the unknown. You'll thank yourself for it. I think the worst thing would be kind of like, oh man, you're 120 years old or whatever, and you're lying down and they say, hey, look, this is the end. And you think, crap, I wish I would have just tried that thing.
Right. Oh, We don't want those dreams to die in the graveyard.
For sure, for sure. And I think, unfortunately, so you mentioned 2 Comma Club, and it's the, you've earned over $1 million in ClickFunnels, right? And we have events regularly where we hand out awards and different things. And there was one of these events a few years ago. And what they do is they get everybody's name who's won the 2 Comma award, and they actually lay it out on the floor, and it makes this huge, like a road of names. It's kind of like the Yellow Brick Road, but 2 Comma Club stickers, right? Big. I would hate to stick the stickers on the floor because there's so many of them. They'd end up all like not in the right place. So they lay out all these stickers along the road, and I was walking up there, super excited, and there's a guy, and he was like looking down this road, and he said, "Can you just tell me what all of this is? Why is everybody's names on the floor?" And I was like, well, every single one of these names, it represents somebody who's earned over $1 million in the business, and they have this big impact. And he's like, whoa. And he said, and he was this older gentleman, he said, I had a dream once. And I was like, oh. But I was like super excited, and I was there, and I was in the moment. I was like, well, what do you mean you had it once? Why do you not still have this dream? And he said, look, I'm old now, I'm retiring. And he explained that this was his last corporate event that he would be at. They were at some like medical equipment conference. He said he was in his, mid 60s now, and that was the end of it. And I said, well, what was the dream? And he's like, oh man, I would always love to have like worked with young men and like taking people outdoors and do sports and all of the things in the US. And he had this big vision, this dream. And I'm like, there's still time. And he's like, oh. And I said, well, come to our event. I said, leave the boring thing. It's the last thing. You can get you a ticket, come into the event. And I was almost there with him, and somebody shouted from this door, hey, Dave, we're going back in. And he kind of turned, looked at me with sad eyes, and as he walked away, he turned and he took one last look down that 2 Comma road, and he turned and he went into the room. And at that point, I think the dream went with him.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean about there needs to be points of adjustment, not turning points. That was his turning point, and he turned away from everything that I knew was possible. He couldn't see the mountain, he could just see the mist. Right. Who knows where he is now? What's he doing? Is that dream come to fruition? Was there somebody else that he met on his journey that helped push him in that right direction? I hope there was, but at that moment, the dream died.
Yes, at that moment it did. And how beautiful that you asked him, what is the dream? It's not too late. You believed, and sometimes we have to lean on someone's belief like you. And that you are very powerful as a man who can help empower other people. I just have to give a shout out back to your mom again, because I know that your mother has been very influential in your father in believing in you, as you mentioned, and teaching you to serve, teaching you to have empathy, teaching you to be resilient, teaching you to act on your dreams, to act when you feel this calling. I sense that it's a divine calling that you feel to bless other people, to show love, and to help others be resilient. And so I just want to commend your mom and dad, shout out to them and bless them for all that they have done to bless you, so that you can now be in the position to bless so many people in the world. So thank you, Danny, for all that you are doing.
And thank you for that. And I think opportunities like this are super important, and being able to share a story or spread the joy, the impact, the message. If you've got something that's kind of you are being called to do and it is burning inside, try to avoid the one day, one day we will, or one day we will. It's like, today's the day. Do it now. It's like, what can you do right now? Especially with the internet available to spread the message, right?
Right.
This is the best time ever. It was so difficult, so hard to build those websites 20 years ago. And now you can literally ask AI. At ClickFunnels, we've got a thing. You literally just say, build me a web, and it just builds the whole thing. It's like, right, now I've got the hard bits done. Record a video on your phone. You've got like a phone. What is this thing? Like, we didn't, like, you can talk to this, and then you can put it on YouTube. You can put it on Facebook. All of this integration automation, this I'm talking about funnels of the future. This is the future. It's now.
Yes. This is the future, and it is now. That's so amazing. You can just like, I have struggled with my website, and for years I have been working on it and hired people, and it didn't happen, and they didn't deliver. And to be able to talk and say, I just want to do this with ClickFunnels, that's like miraculous to me.
I think the big thing is not being afraid to break something, but a website without a message is nothing.
Right,
It's the message. You think about it like the funnel, the website is just like the tracks that move people from A to B, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of folks out there that are forever laying tracks. They're always building this new shiny thing that's going to do this. It's not about the tracks. It's what you do at the stations and actually on the train that matters. So you've got to get people on board, and you've got to take them on a journey, and they need to know where you're taking them. The web page is just the track.
Yes. Just get the people on the train and get moving.
You said it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your beautiful heart. Thank you for giving of your heart. And I just want to tell you, thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you for asking. And thank you for answering my ask. Asking, you shall receive. And you blessed me today, and you blessed so many people are commenting how much they love you. I just think it's just beautiful. Is Holly related to you?
She lives close enough, and we've certainly had some meaningful conversations. Holly's amazing, and I know Ken in the chat, and obviously my mum's in there, Alyssa. A lot of these folks in the chat I know personally, and I appreciate. And like, the journey without the people is like, well, what's that all about, right? So these are the people that I want to and will continue to serve, and it's a pleasure to be out there doing what I've been able to do. And I think there's a thing about permission. I've always believed that I've got the permission to do it. I didn't ever ask anybody for permission to do it, but building those conversations and building those foundations and relationships super important. Everybody in the chat, appreciate each and every one of you.
Oh, well, I appreciate you. We all appreciate you. We love you. And thank you for the love that you show and the love that you spread in all that you do. And congratulations on all your awards, your 2 Comma Club award for being the communication lead at ClickFunnels. But congratulations on being such a stellar human who loves and cares about people and empowers others and blesses their life. So I'm grateful to know you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
It's been a pleasure. It's been awesome. Karen, thank you.
Yeah, Phil, thank you. And I just want to let the audience know, whether you're listening live or you're listening on the replay, we will put in the chat, Danny will add his information so that you could take advantage of what he has to offer, because he is very generous about wanting to serve. And so make sure that you check the chat and you can learn more.
Ask and have the conversation.
Yes, and I just wanted to put this last message up from your mom. Keep knocking on the doors. There isn't a door that cannot be opened. And Holly said, amen.
Very true. Very true.
Ask and you shall receive. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate you so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.